So this is the latest drone here from DJI. It's called the Mavic Air, and it's really a cross between their cheapest version, the small portable DJI Spark that I reviewed, and then of course we have the Mavic Pro. I reviewed that one as well recently, and it combines best features out of those two drones there into this one drone. So it's got the foldable design, the foldable arms here like the Mavic, and then it has the 3-axis gimbal like the Mavic Pro. But the flight time isn't quite as good as that one there. So this gets around, well, they claim 21 minutes of flight time, but I've only been able to get about 15, 16 minutes. It depends on how far you want to really push that remaining battery percent before you decide to hit the return home button on this thing here. So it has now cameras in the rear, which is one of the changes. So it now can see and sense collision and do collision avoidance with the rear cameras. It's got these sensors on the bottom as well there too, just like the Mavic has for auto hover and things. So it's their most advanced drone yet. It's got a couple more new shot modes that you can do with it through the controls. And the bitrate on the camera. So it does 4K 30 frames per second at 100 megabits per second. So that's up from the 60 on the Mavic Pro. And to me, the video quality actually looks a little bit better here on the Mavic Air. So let's check this out. We'll have a look and see what we get in the box. We'll go for the first flight and then my overall final opinion at the end of this video on whether or not you should actually get this Mavic Air here. So let's take a look and see what we get inside the box. Now this is just the normal version, so it's not the one that has the extra battery packs. You can get the Fly More combo, which has all that. Now if you're picking one of these up, make sure you've got the seal on it here. You can see that box is sealed so no one has tampered with this. So here we have the drone in the top, and you can see it is really quite small. It comes with this case, which is really good because the Mavic didn't actually come with a case at all. You could use the box with the Spark, but that is a very nice case. You can have a look at the drone, just how small this folds up inside there. You can see, look at that. That is really, really tiny. So it's not quite as small as the Spark, but because it folds up, it actually really is almost as small. But it's a combination really of the Mavic and the Spark. This is just an in-between model. Then in the other box we have here, we've got some propeller guards. We have some spare props as well. Instruction manual, warranty card and whatnot. And just a DJI Care card there too. Then our controller, which looks a lot like the Mavic Air's controller, but it doesn't have a screen on it. And in the final box we have the charger, of course. We need to charge the battery up. Then we've got two controller sticks there for the controller. You need to screw those on, otherwise you will not be able to control it. Type-C cable, have adapters there for the mobiles, and then the power cable right here. So these just simply screw in like so. So very easy to do that, and it only takes a few seconds. Just to point out as well that the charger does have two USB 2 ports on there for charging. So you can charge up the controller with it, of course, and then charge up, say, your mobile phone that you're going to use in conjunction with that controller. Now, since I'm always one to weigh things, let's take a look at the weight of things here. So the drone is 437 grams, which is not too bad. So what about when it's in the case? So with the case then, that puts it up to 571 grams. Add the controller, if I can just balance that on top without it sliding off. And it's 851 grams now. Then with the power brick on the top of that, it's 1.04 kilos. So the battery pack is right here. You can see here, there is an indicator to tell you how much level you've got on this, but I'll first show you the gimbal. So it's locked in place with this cover on here, which is really good. So that stops it from getting damaged. So you've got these two little tabs either side, and you need to pull this up. And I was a little bit puzzled at first when I got this, thinking, well, how do I get it off? I kept pulling on that, but you actually just got to slide it up. And then you have the camera, of course, there. So this is 3-axis gimbal. It's a 12 megapixel camera. So 3-axis stabilization there. And it also records now up to 100 megabits per second, the bitrate on 4K 30 frames per second, which is great. So two front-facing cameras for collision avoidance. Now note that there are no cameras on the side of this, so it has no side collision avoidance, and there's no camera at the top as well there. So if you happen to go along and fly up towards a tree or something, if you were underneath it, then it could hit it still. So you still have to be quite careful with that. On the rear now, this is new, so two new cameras there that also have rear collision avoidance now. This is just a little LED here. In this flap, you'll find the Type-C port, and that's where you install your micro SD card. And down the bottom, another two downward firing sensors. That's to use with the auto hover, the landing, and the downward firing cameras as well to sense exactly where it is. So you can see it's really quite small and compact the way this folds up. There's our battery there, so we do have a status indicator. So each of those LEDs is of course 25% battery. So you can just look at it, and when you have it on there, you can see straight away that you've got 75% or 75 to 100% battery life left on this. And that battery is of course removable, but it's facing downwards. So if the battery's not clipped in properly, hopefully this won't just drop out, which happened to quite a few Spark owners who had the battery in flight drop out of their drone, and of course they probably damaged or lost their drone. Hopefully this will not happen with the new Mavic Air. So you see they have labeled clear instructions on this drone for fail-safe for people that are starting out that decide to pull outwards or something. No, you have to push this down, and that flicks up then the propeller blade, and then this one, the guide as well tells you, so this goes out. So that's how the propellers are out. And then this, of course, this is the little landing gear here, which in fact houses the antenna for it, which is quite clever. So this gives it a range of 4 kilometers, which is not as good as the Mavic Pro, but better than the Spark at least. Now, if you didn't happen to have the controller with you and you wanted to control it with your mobile phone, which I honestly don't recommend, it's best to use the controller because you get better range, better performance, faster response times as well, then you've got the wireless ID here on the side, so you can connect up to the drone wirelessly. The battery takes approximately an hour to charge, and you can see right now it's somewhere between 25% and 50%, so I still have at least 30-40 minutes before this is going to be fully charged. Now, it is disappointing that you cannot charge the battery within the drone with the Type-C port, because I know with the Spark you can charge it using a mobile charger, for example, or a car charger. So before I can get started, there is a firmware update for the drone, and there also was one for the controller. Now you kind of have to do this. I don't think you can fly without updating the firmware, and I don't see why you would want to either, because it could fix some potentially bad bugs that maybe could have this drone dropping out of the sky. Not that that's probably the case, but you should always, of course, update the firmware. Okay, so here we go, first flight. Well, it's actually not my first flight. This is my 3rd attempt here because I ran into problems. Didn't actually record the first time. So beautiful day here in Denia.
Take off.
All right, so I'm going to do a manual takeoff there. That's the collision avoidance there. So I'm going to head straight out to that tower there, like my DJI Mavic review. The Iron Tower, 17th century coastal defense. And there's normally a little bit of wind around. At the moment there's a tiny little breeze. But I actually flew this yesterday and high winds, and it handled it pretty well. Okay, so just going to bring the gimbal down and give you a good look at the tower. Okay, so there we go, and I'll have a look at the roof of it. Hopefully this is not overexposing. It's hard to see. Look down now at the roof. So it still has a roof in this, even though it's quite a few hundred years old. And let's bring that gimbal back up, and I'm going to pan around now. Nice view there of the coast. So I still have the drone in visuals. It's a little dot I can see right out there. Very clear day today, so that's why I'm going to pan around and show you town. Unfortunately, then the orchards, they're burning at the moment, so there's a little bit of haze and smoke around, but it's not too bad around here. There you go, so nice view of the town there. To the right of the screen there, that's Las Rotas, and heading straight ahead, you'll actually see the castle. It's kind of hard to make out because it's quite far away there. So I'll bring the drone back to me now. Got to keep an eye on that battery life at all times. Got 15 satellites there. Try and pan around really slow here. And the terraces you can see along this part here. And that mountain range there, just give you a view of that. That is the Mongo. That's what the mountain's called there. Bring it back around to point towards where I am here. And another look at that tower before I head back. And just a view of the coast here, because this is probably the most beautiful part of Denia, this right here. That coast there. Really nice looking. Just look at that view. Such a good day today. Stunning. Okay, so It's going to bring it around now. Nice and easy does it. So you can use the cinematic mode. See if I can get actually a closer look at that tower, because that's what really interests me. Should kind of be just below me. There we go. So I'll move the drone now. And have a closer look at that tower. Now I wonder if I can do that waypoint feature. Now you've got these different modes in here. Just bring the gimbal up a little bit. Again. And you can do some tricks with the sticks as well. Like if you get used to it, you can pull both the sticks inwards if you're a really good pilot and you've got a little bit of experience, and you can actually go and do this manually, go around it yourself. See what I'm doing now? Now I need a little bit of practice at this, but I'm trying to get a bit more of a view of this tower. But if you do it like this very slowly and carefully, have a look, you can see there's like a door there at the front of the tower. It's good that there's no one else around here. Normally there are a lot of hikers around with a day like this today. So it actually looks like there could actually be a couple of hikers out there today. Such a beautiful day for it. And I'm going to pan around a little. Yeah, there are a couple of people out there. I'm keeping well away from them. Let's bring that around again. And just tweak that gimbal up there. So look at that view. And as I mentioned, you can see those mountains in the distance. It's a little bit hazy there at the moment. But great view there of the coast. So I'm going to bring it back now towards me. And actually I want to test out that sport mode, because that is the extra fast performance mode. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a fly over here and head back towards where I am. So flick the switch. You hear that little beep as confirmation. And here we go. Gain a little bit of altitude. And fully hit on the stick now, so I'm over towards this direction here. I can really hear that picking up now, so look at the speed. 67. Almost, it's really moving. Great performance. So for those of you wanting to know how much does it blow around in light winds, you can see it is moving around a little bit. Now I'm not touching the controls at all. On low battery, so that's what that annoying beep is. So it's going to come in. I'm going to have to land it soon, or we'll do it automatically probably once the battery gets lower. But you can see it does get blown around quite a bit. Landing. So in high winds, I would not be flying this. Alright, so this is a great little drone here. I really do love it. So it's got the best of the Spark, the smaller, more compact design to it, but the foldability like the Mavic, and a 3-axis gimbal and the 4K footage. Now, the 4K footage I find to actually be better than the Mavic Pro at times, because when you pan around, it doesn't do that little kind of micro stutters that you sometimes see on the Pro. It also has that higher encoding rate, so 100 megabits per second versus the 60. And I noticed that with the Mavic Pro, that if you've seen my review of that one, the Pro Platinum, that it does overexpose at times, and you need to really tweak down the exposure to get the best results. But here with this one, you don't need to do that. So flyability, it is very easy to fly. We've got the collision avoidance that you can actually have that enabled at all times. So if it detects something, it will stop and it will stop you flying into things when you've got that on, which is great. And then for more experienced pilots out there, then you can flick on the sports mode and fly it around quite aggressively, and it does really move when you use that. It really picks up and accelerates up to 68 kilometers per hour, so it really moves, which is great. Now I do have a couple of complaints with some things. One of them is the firmware update system is an absolute nightmare. It's a mess. It really did stress me out, because I had a perfect day to fly this and I just wanted to get out and fly it, and I knew I had to do the firmware update. So I thought, okay, I set aside 20 minutes to do the firmware update, fully charged batteries on both. Okay, downloading the update, it's updating, stuck at 30%. And it sat there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It drained the batteries right down. I unplugged the controller, plugged it back in, then it got stuck at 99% and it kept looping on the controller the whole goddamn time. And I got so frustrated and angry with this. I was about to throw this out the window because it was such a nice day and we've had bad weather for the last couple of weeks and all I want to do is get the review of this done in time so it's not late. But the system is buggy, so whatever you do not update using the controller. Use the PC or Mac application, which is called DJI Assistant 2, and I did that and then it worked absolutely flawlessly. So they've got some bugs I need to iron out because I thought I bricked this and it was, you know, a little bit stressful because the price of this, you just think, oh, you know, I have to go through DJI Care and everything. I've got to get a new drone. They have to send me a new one. What a nightmare. But luckily that did not happen to me. The other thing is it's got a Type-C port on here, which is great. But why not let us charge with it as well, just like the Spark? Now the Spark, in between different flights and things that I was doing, I actually had it in my car charging, which was great with my car charger. And I could top up the battery, so I'd be back at 100% to start recording again. If you decided to really go lightweight, you didn't want to take the charger with your extra batteries, then you could plug in your mobile phone charger and charge it if they only enable that. Now it's probably their marketing team wants to sell batteries, so that's why they don't do that. They want you to have 3 or 4 batteries and then you can just keep flying. Now the flight time is only really about 17 minutes, which is quite annoying really, because they claim you can get up to 21 minutes, and that's probably if you just let it hover for 21 minutes and don't record 4K, then yes, that might actually be possible. But real world use flight time, it's okay. You'll probably go and get the Mavic Pro if you want more flight time. The Spark really frustrated me because that's honestly only about 9-10 minutes and it's just not enough. This is borderline 15, 16, 17. So really I feel they could have added 50 grams more of weight, made it a little bit wider or a little bit longer, give us 5 minutes more flight time. 20 minutes of real world flight time would have been perfect on this. But otherwise, this is a really good drone. Loving it. Now it is expensive. Now if you want a cheaper alternative, you're worried about crashing it or something like that, make sure you check out my review of Xiaomi's Mi Drone 4K. That is a fantastic drone for the price. It's got auto hover mode, GPS, so it is easy to fly, but it does not have the collision avoidance like this one. And then my review of the Mavic Pro Platinum there as well. Thank you so much for watching this review of the Mavic Air, and I do hope to see you back in the channel soon. Bye for now.